Today, we're diving into a really fascinating story about a top AI lending company that, well, basically hit a wall. Its core technology just broke. But what's really interesting is how they rebuilt it, making it smarter, faster, and more resilient than ever. It's an incredible comeback story about innovation in finance.
So let's just start right there with the big question. What actually happens when the AI that's running a multi-billion-dollar lending business suddenly gets the future completely, totally wrong? Well, we're going to unpack that using a real-world example from just a couple years back.
Okay, so our story kicks off in early 2022. The economy was doing all sorts of weird things, stuff nobody had really seen before. And this company's AI model, which had been, super reliable up to this point, was about to face the biggest test of its life. And it didn't just stumble, it pretty much failed spectacularly. And when I say fail, I mean it. Actual loan losses came in at a staggering 50% higher than what the AI had predicted. I mean, think about that. That's not a rounding error. That's a 5-alarm fire. In the company's own words, it shocked the business.
And the fallout from that shock? It was immediate. The money, the capital that fueled the entire lending platform, it just started to, well, evaporate. Investors got really nervous. And you can't blame them, right? If you can't trust the AI's predictions, you're definitely not going to give it your money.
So the team had this huge problem on their hands. They had to figure out exactly what broke. And to really get it, we need to understand the two main jobs their AI was supposed to do: ranking risk versus predicting risk. They sound similar, but they're worlds apart. So the first job is something called separation. All this means is the model's ability to look at two different people and correctly say, okay, borrower A is, say, 2.3 times more likely to default than borrower B. And here's the crazy part. During this whole crisis in 2022, the model's separation ability worked perfectly. It never failed at ranking people. So the problem wasn't the ranking. The problem was with the second job, calibration. See, this isn't about who is riskier than whom. It's about predicting the total number of defaults for the entire group of borrowers. And that's where it fell apart, because it had no idea that suddenly everybody was becoming riskier, all at the same time. Let's use an analogy. Think of it like a race. The old model was amazing at separation. It could tell you exactly who was going to finish first, second, third, and so on. But it completely failed at calibration. It couldn't predict that a huge storm, that's our economic shock, was about to roll in and slow all the runners down. It knew the rankings, but it got everyone's finish times totally wrong. And this wasn't just some freak one-time storm. Nope. For 2 full years, we're talking 8 straight quarters, every single type of consumer credit was getting riskier. It was this massive, slow-moving trend, and the model was just completely blind to it. It needed a way to see the bigger picture. So, how do you fix an AI that's basically blind to the passage of time? Well, the team went back to the drawing board and came up with something really innovative. They decided they had to literally teach the AI about the concept of time itself. They called the solution time as a feature. And yeah, it sounds simple, but it was an absolute game changer. It basically gave the model a whole new dimension of perception. It could finally adapt to a world that doesn't stand still. So how does this work? Well, it's pretty brilliant. First, it takes in all the historical loan data, like before. But now, and this is the key, it tags every single loan with the exact date it was made. This allows the AI to spot trends. It can now see that the exact same borrower is maybe twice as likely to default in 2024 as they were back in 2020. It can even spot things like stimulus checks running out, not by reading the news, but just by seeing delinquency rates for certain groups tick up, almost in real time. And that means it can react instantly.
And the difference was just dramatic. The old model was broken for 9 quarters straight. The new one? It started correcting itself in the very same quarter the crisis hit, and it fully adapted to the new economy in just 3 quarters. That's a gigantic leap in reaction speed.
And if you want proof, just look at the numbers. In that chaotic first quarter of 2022, the old model's error rate was a massive 59%. The new model, when they backtested it, slashed that error all the way down to just 22%. It was more than twice as accurate right from the get-go. Now, having a smarter AI is great, but it's pretty useless if your business can't actually survive the next storm. So the company realized the tech fix was only half the battle. They had to completely change their financial playbook too, to build a business that could absorb shocks instead of being broken by them. They came up with this thing they call a macro insurance layer. The idea is actually pretty simple but really powerful. When the economy's good, their loans are designed to make a little extra money. Then they take that extra performance and set it aside, kind of like a rainy day fund, to cover any losses when times get tough. The goal isn't to be perfect every quarter, but to be right over the cycle.
But to make that insurance layer work, they had to change where their funding comes from. Their new target is to have well north of 50% of their money from committed capital. We're talking long-term partners who are in it for the long haul, not nervous investors who are going to bolt at the first sign of trouble. It's all about stability.
So, in a nutshell, the entire philosophy of the business changed. Before 2022, the model was fragile. It was all about short-term returns and relying on capital that could disappear overnight. Now, the whole game is long-term resilience, backed by solid partners and a model that's actually designed to handle economic shifts.
So, with the tech fixed and the business model totally reinforced, the company is now looking ahead with a seriously bold vision to take its proven AI and apply it across the entire credit landscape. And they're not thinking small. The plan is to expand into basically everything: auto loans, home equity lines, mortgages, even small business lending. The ambition here is huge: to build a single, trusted place where their AI can power the best experience across all different kinds of credit.
And that really brings us to the final thought here. When the leadership team is asked about their competition, they basically say that nobody else is trying to build what they are, at this kind of scale. After surviving what could have been a fatal shock, their comeback has left them with this unique technology, a super resilient business, and this core belief that they are, in their own words, kind of a category of one.